Hello YouTube, this is Hardcore46. I'm calling this video SHTF WROL IFF system. Identify friend or foe for Prepper Defense Forces. Military aircraft are equipped with devices that transmit identification signals so they do not get engaged by friendlies. These devices are referred to as IFF. The phrase, the fog of war, refers to the confusion that prevails on the battlefield. The stress of combat, degraded communications, and periods of low visibility create conditions that are ripe for fratricide or friendly fire incidents. As traumatic as it would be to lose a friend or a family member to hostile fire, it would be more tragic to lose that person to friendly fire. Prepper Defense Forces, or PDFs, must devise their own IFF system to minimize the risk of fratricide. Determining whether a group or individual is friend or foe will be a continual task for the members of your group that are engaged in security operations. The LPOP, the ECP, and Rangers must be able to quickly determine the disposition of the people that they observe. Another time when IFF would play a role may be when personnel at the LPOP or other remote posts are being relieved. During such a relief in place, there will be competing interests involved. On the one hand, troops manning the LPOP should be rotated on an equitable basis, which entails a routine schedule. On the other hand, for reasons of OPSEC, the posting of the relief should be as varied as possible in time and route. These variations can create confusion, so whenever possible, the unit in place should be advised of the time and route to be used by their relief, either when they are deployed or by radio before the relief force departs the perimeter. Other limitations on relief force route selection would be obstacles, booby traps, and early warning devices. If these features are new or have been moved since the last time the relief squad made the trip, then the in-place unit should send a guide to meet the relief. If possible, the relief of the position should occur during periods of limited visibility to lessen the amount of information that hostile observers may obtain. Darkness, fog, and smoke could all be used to obscure the enemy's view. During the relief, the outgoing squad should brief their replacements about recent observations and or changes in their sector. Range cards and sector sketches are left in position. Crew-served equipment such as NVDs, FLIR, and special weapons are also left at the position if necessary. In the post-collapse environment, or PCE, it is unlikely that your PDF will be equipped with standard uniforms and equipment. Even if your group has achieved standardization, there is no guarantee that its appearance is unique. Therefore, some means of branding your troops is necessary. To brand your troops, you can take a lesson from an unlikely source. Criminal street gangs. Gangs frequently choose a color to represent their organization, and they wear or display bandanas or rags of that color as a means of identification. For PDFs, the bandanas could be worn at a prescribed location on the body, and the location could be rotated in a coordinated manner. Having a large supply of bandanas in several colors would allow your force to rotate the color of the day, week, or month in an attempt to thwart spoofing by bad guys. When two elements of a friendly force are linking up, some prearranged recognition signals must be in place to help prevent fratricide. There are two types of recognition signals, near and far. Far recognition signals are typically used beyond voice range and preferably beyond rifle range. This means that if you have radios, they might be the preferred way to initiate the recognition process. If radios are not available, then a visual signal must be used. Depending on the terrain and vegetation, your far signal may end up being pretty close. Weather and light conditions may affect your choice of signaling technique. Near recognition signals are usually used within voice range. They could be silent in nature, as in a visual signal. Near signals would be a sign countersign, either a challenge and password or a number combination. Both the sign and countersign should be exchanged in a manner that shields them from interception by the enemy. During an emergency, such as friendlies breaking contact with the enemy and running into the perimeter, a running number or running password would be used. These passwords can only be used once and must be replaced immediately after the contact is over, as they may have been compromised during use. The running troops would be yelling the code as they approach the perimeter. When using the challenge and password technique, a code book or table would have been prepared in advance, and those with the need to know would have copies. An interval would be set for rotating to the next set of code words, such as 2300 daily. The challenger would issue the challenge from the list, such as watermelon, and the person being challenged would reply with the appropriate password, such as lightning. For the number combination technique, the number of the day is, for example, 13. The challenger issues a challenge number that is less than the number of the day, such as 8. The person being challenged must respond with a number that, when added to the challenge, equals the number of the day. In this case, the proper reply would be 5. This technique can be used silently by using fingers to express numbers, and at night by using flashes of light. Here are some devices or techniques that can be used for signaling: colored smoke grenades, signal flares, chem lights, colored and or infrared flashlights, preferably with colored lenses, IR lights or strobe lights, VS17 panels, signal flags in various colors, hand and arm signals, as in baseball signals, radios, whistles, the IR reflective patches perhaps, luminous tape or glow-in-the-dark tape. During the daytime, if the sun is out, you might be able to even use a mirror to signal somebody. Chem lights, a VS17 panel or parts of one. Along the same line as the VS17 panel, good old hunter orange vest, signal flags, various colors of signal flags. When I was in the Army in the mechanized and armored units, each tracked vehicle was equipped with a set of signal flags, 3 different colors. Depending on the number combination and how they were displayed, they had different meanings. So if you were able to display multiple flags at a time, you might be able to, have certain codes that represented. So we have flashlights. With this one has a blue lens. You come with these old Army flashlights had a red. I think some of the newer ones might even have a green color. You could have a different challenge. Could be one color, response could be another color, or it could be based on a number of flashes. You have your hand and arm signals. Some hand and arm signals, something that would be able to be seen from a distance. Obviously, it would be something other than just a wave. It would have to be a very deliberate type of motion that would be easily discernible by the two parties exchanging the code. I'm just throwing these things out there. There's probably some other things I'm not thinking of. If anybody has suggestions, please add them. Put them in the comments. It's been a long time since I've actively been involved in any of these kind of things. Technology has moved on since I left the Army many years ago. So there might be some other things out there, but I'm trying to go with some of the low-tech or no-tech solutions. Signals such as smoke grenades, flares, and whistles will definitely disclose your position to nearby enemy forces. Their use should be reserved for emergencies, when it is more important to let the friendlies know who you are than to hide from the bad guys. I would say that actually being lit up by friendlies would constitute an emergency. What do you do if unknown persons are approaching and they fail to react or respond correctly to the recognition signals, to the challenge and password? Does that make them a threat? How close should you let them get? Do you have a deadline? Your community will have to decide if you will implement the use of a deadline. This term originated during the U.S. Civil War at POW camps. If this line was crossed by a prisoner, the guards would shoot him dead. In the case of a prepper community, the deadline would not be used to deter escapes but to stop intruders. The line would be drawn outside the perimeter at a distance that would keep unidentified persons from making entry. I would caution against firing on unknown persons unless they clearly display hostile intent. During normal times, it is never legally or morally justified to shoot trespassers. If you have the means of warning them off, then do so. A megaphone or public address system would extend the reach of your voice. Guard dogs would be a deterrent. Passive measures, such as fencing and posting your territory, will serve notice to intruders that they are not welcome. Remember to have a clearly marked lane leading toward a designated contact point for legitimate use. You will be visited by good guys from outside your community at some point. This point would likely be your ECP. Friendly fire is bad. It happens to this very day in our modern, well-trained, and well-equipped military forces. Remember Ranger Tillman? Preppers have less training and equipment than our armed forces and will have to be proactive and diligent to avoid friendly fire incidents. Please let me know if I failed to mention something of value. These videos are meant to educate and stimulate thought, and I value feedback. Remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And when the mission is survival, failure is not an option. This is Hardcore 46, out.